this is World of Warcraft in 2025. We have a guy riding a spectral wheelchair. I don't know too much about World of Warcraft, and when I'm making my points here, I'm gonna be mixing stuff with TTRPGs, because this is a discussion that we have to have, like, every week or every other week. But the wheelchair, though. As far as I know, from what I've read, this character here is probably the strongest spellcaster in the Warcraft lore. So, make of that what you will. Make of that what you will. Why does this keep happening? Well, I can tell you why. It's actually just a single reason, but it is really stupid. It's all because of my representation. We have to represent disabled people, therefore, wheelchair. This feels like a Gintama skit. Kimpachi, she's just the glasses. Disabled people, they are just the wheelchair. That's actually quite insulting. And you usually have these detractors, these really strange people saying, "Oh my god, you can believe in dragons and magic, but you cannot believe in disabled people in the game?" No, that's not what people are talking about. Is that this quote-unquote representation in these games doesn't make any sense. So, you're telling me in these games, also counting D&D, resurrection spells are not uncommon. They might be class exclusive, but they're not uncommon. You're gonna tell me it's feasible for a, in D&D terms, a 5th level cleric to revivify somebody, but not cure somebody that's in a wheelchair? That doesn't make any sense. I could understand, especially talking about D&D, if these characters were missing legs and whatnot. The regeneration spell is like 6th or 7th level, so that means you had to be like a 13th level cleric. Yeah, it's higher than level 5 for sure. But the thing is, with all of these magic powers, with all of these wonderful medicine, they can't really heal themselves? That makes no sense to me, truly. And I think I'm gonna scramble a little bit with my arguments here, but I'm trying to go through 3 main points here. First, if it's disability, why is it always a wheelchair? There are other disabilities that you could be showing, like somebody missing an arm, somebody missing an eye, characters with eye patches, those are really cool. Kenpachi from Bleach, even though the guy wasn't actually missing an eye. Oigen from Crown of Fantasy, guy's pretty cool. And all that. Peg legs, I mean, just mentioning the pirates here, maybe it was. What about blind characters like Toph from Avatar? Pretty cool. It's always the wheelchair. And it's just not practical. Because if you suffer an injury that leads you to be bound to a wheelchair, that's probably a career-ending injury. If you're some sort of adventurer, you're gonna get cancer by stuff as simple as a set of stairs, rough terrain, jumping. What do you think is gonna happen if you run around in a wheelchair and you fight a dragon? Yes, that's a big problem. And if we go towards TTRPGs, then having a guy in a wheelchair also begs the question, what do you do rules-wise? Are the characters in wheelchairs actually prone or not? What can you actually do in a wheelchair? Can you jump? I don't think you can. Can you go upstairs? Probably not. Are you gonna tell me the demonic lich is gonna add a bunch of ramps to the dungeon? Doesn't make no sense. It doesn't make no goddamn sense. So I don't think it works. I don't think it works. You just have this thing of, but of course, people in wheelchairs want to see themselves represented in the game. I don't know about that one. Being in wheelchair fucking sucks, okay? That's obvious. Sure, being in wheelchair is gonna be better than being unable to move. But if you're in a wheelchair, would you want to be confined to the same rules when you play a game? I don't think that is correct. Do you want to jump around, run, and fight a bunch of monsters with a really athletic kind of guy? An example of this, funny enough, would be Final Fantasy Tactics Advance 2. That's kind of a plot point. Lucius' younger brother is so happy running around. Was it 2 or was it 1? I'm not quite sure right now, it's been a while. But the main character's younger brother is just running around with the clan, doing quests and whatnot, and he's actually enjoying the isekai. It has to be A2, right? I don't think March has a brother. And he's actually enjoying the isekai to the fullest, because he's not confined to a wheelchair like in real life. And probably the biggest insult of all, why does it have to be just a real life wheelchair? Are you gonna tell me you have fantasy, you have magic, you have dragons, and you can only come up with this? It's so boring. Even if you want to have somebody bound to quote-unquote a wheelchair, somebody with this kind of disability, for whatever reason, sure, that's fine. Why does it have to be just a normal wheelchair? It doesn't make any sense. You could have any kind of exotic mount. Well, you can't really walk, so why not summon a unicorn, a dragon, a wyvern, some sort of demon to carry you around? What about the giant spider? That's a bunch of really cool stuff. A giant eagle, a crocodile, just pick your poison, a cool mount. Why don't you have some sort of construct that can carry you around too, like a golem? That's kind of cool. Why not have even something better, especially if you're playing like a necromancer, just like the Bone Arc from the Castlevania games? 2 skeletons carrying around like a dragon or demonic skull that breathes magical energy. It's insane. Like, and the game ranting on a giant spider would terrify me. Yes, but that could be cool. It is a cool mount. Depends on the character, obviously. Why not a huge wolf? You have a billion different fantastical animals and you don't use any of those. You have a bunch of magic-powered shenanigans that you're not using. And something like this is not even new. I'm gonna give first the more obscure example here. I've seen characters running around, I guess flying around would be much better, flying contraptions because they cannot either move well, fly, or they just want to do it. The first example is gonna be Okina from Toho Games. She's like a goddess, but she cannot really walk too much. She can stand, she can walk a little bit, but to move around, she just flies in a throne. That's so cool. That's so cool to me. Why not fly around in a throne? Just in something comfortable. That's really cool. And probably the best examples of this would be, who are the villains that run around, or fly around once again, in a really strange flying contraption? Bowser in Super Mario World, Frieza in Dragon Ball Z. Frieza doesn't need a flying contraption. Frieza already knows how to fly. He's really fast. But he's also the Emperor, he doesn't care. So he runs around in something that just flies. And that's cool. And you're just gonna give me a phantom wheelchair? It's not about having disabled people. It's about not having any creativity. Give me something cool, and people will enjoy it. And of course, we have here floating wheelchair in universe. You literally could have chosen anything else that was cooler, but no, floating wheelchair. Speaking of Dragon Ball, flying around in a cloud. There are so many ways of doing this in a cool way, but no, it has to be the wheelchair, but it has to be some sort of strange virtue signaling. I don't understand. Where's the creativity? Nowhere to be seen, sadly.